Hello there, and welcome to Legacy Curious, the show where we explore what it really means to protect, grow, and pass on everything you've worked so hard to build. I'm your host, David Gravelle. I'm a life insurance strategist, business legacy coach, and founder of Legacy Protector. Each episode, I sit down with the bold thinkers, entrepreneurs, and everyday visionaries who are turning their values into lasting impact in business, in life, and across generations.
Welcome to this episode of Legacy Curious. I'm today's co-host, Cheri with Lucking Life Insurance, alongside my colleague, David Gravelle. Our guest today is Greg Wheeler, the owner of Cabinet IQ, a nationally recognized kitchen and bathroom remodeling brand based right here in Aurora, Colorado. Greg brings a unique perspective to home renovation with his background in finance and investments. He believes that upgrading your kitchen or bathroom can deliver returns just as powerful as long-term investments in the stock market, only with the added joy of living in the results every single day. A proud native of Colorado, Greg is passionate about helping homeowners elevate their lifestyle through beautiful, functional design that creates lasting value. Beyond his work, he enjoys singing, playing guitar, and practicing his Spanish skills on Duolingo. His mission? To be the kitchen remodeling hero for proud homeowners. Welcome, Greg.
It's exciting to be here. My childhood was split up between Ohio and Colorado, but I was born in Ohio and then I moved out to Denver as a young guy and lived out here in the 80s watching John Elway throw amazing touchdowns and amazing comebacks. And that was between first grade up through eighth grade. I was the youngest of three. I have an older brother and sister, and it was great growing up in Denver versus where I was in Ohio, kind of a farm town. The reason that it was so great to be out there, there's so many people, there's so many activities that I could do that I wasn't able to do out there. So, I started off playing soccer like most kids. I played Little League Baseball. We would, back then we would ride our bikes. We'd leave the house and we wouldn't come back until the streetlights came on and your parents wouldn't know where you were.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're only in trouble if the lights.
If you didn't get home. Yeah.
That's right.
That's when they started worrying. Is when the
That's when they started worrying.
The lights came on.
Right.
Yeah. You
exactly.
couldn't go anywhere, and they didn't know where we were.
Yep.
That was so much fun. Yeah, I grew up in Colorado.
And we did. We went a lot of places, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
we probably
Bike took us
shouldn't have been.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I grew up in so just south of Dry Creek Road, Willow Creek. And went to Willow Creek Elementary,
Okay.
and there were plenty of great places to ride your bikes back then. It wasn't as developed, right?
No, it wasn't. There was fields and fields and fields forever. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. So summer was a lot of fun, definitely.
Were you?
Yeah, and then like my brother and sister before me, I was a newspaper delivery boy, right? And I did it for both the Rocky Mountain News and the Denver Post.
Okay.
They say it's a good thing to be fired at some point in your life, right? So the Denver Post actually fired me.
What did you do?
Boy.
I did a great job delivering the newspaper every morning, but I did a terrible job collecting the money for.
The most
That's how you got paid,
important
though. That's
I
right.
know.
That's how the money in your pocket. Are you kidding me?
You'd think that would be the most important part, but after doing the route in the morning, the last thing I wanted to do was basically do the route again in the afternoon. So
Yeah, that's right.
You gotta double up. You
Yeah.
got to do it at the same time, so you're
Right.
not collecting, and then they don't get their paper unless they pay you.
Well, how funny would it be if the manager that I had back then had a chance to listen to this? He'd probably remember me because shortly after they moved away from me, they went to all adult routes. No kids doing the paper route anymore.
Oh.
So
That's a shame. That's a shame. It's a great first job for a kid, I'll tell you. Yeah.
it is, but I think I ruined it for all the other
Oh
kids.
yeah. Well, don't blame
No,
yourself.
you
Don't blame yourself. No,
So
That
I
was a
guess
great
that
learning
was your-
moment for me.
your-
Absolutely.
Did you have other entrepreneurial ventures that you did as a youngster?
As a child, no, not necessarily. There were a lot of things that I wanted to get into, but I was afraid to make the investment or commit the time. My dad came to me with lots of ideas like, why don't you start a bumper sticker business? We'll get you this printer. Why don't we? So I explored a lot of different things. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was definitely a B-type personality as a kid. I was being the youngest, I was more of a artistic type, whereas, my brother and sister were both very much alphas. So I found the best way to fit in was just be loving and friendly and kind and, just enjoy life and, work on things that are more artistic, musical, that kind of thing, right? So that's where I spent more of my time. Although turning music into money is probably one of the most difficult things ever, right? But
Sure is. Yeah.
Right.
So apart from being a better collector on your paper route, what are some of the advice you might give to your younger self? What are some of the lessons that you've since learned that you would hope that, you could have heard at that young age?
Oh my gosh. I think probably all through my life, I think the biggest thing that would have been good for me would have been just, Greg, follow through. So, once you commit to something like the paper route, you go and do the collection, just
Right.
go and do it, right? Follow through, and that also applied once I went to college. I was too eager to begin my life. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to start a business. I wanted to get rich, right? All of these things that you dream you should be as an adult. I wanted to have right there at, age 21, age 22, right? So I was excited, but if somebody had told me, look, just delay all that, follow through. You made a commitment to finish college, just do it, right? So I do regret not getting that degree at that time because it's almost impossible as an adult to take the time off, drive downtown to Metro and try to get your degree one class at a time. It's difficult. So follow through would be the key for me.
Very good. So then, how did you get started in your career? What was that like? What was your journey from your first job until where you are now?
Well, it really helped out just knowing people. I only needed to know one person to get my start. I was out in Denver between first grade to eighth grade, but then my family ended up moving back to the same house that we moved from in Ohio. So I went back to that exact same farm town, and that was actually helpful for me to just get the contrast of living in a city versus living in a farm town, where I would have graduated from Cherry Creek with a class of 1,000 kids versus a farm town with a class of 64 kids. So it was a nice dichotomy and experience for me. But when I came back to Denver on my own after I quit college, then I started doing different jobs. I worked for like Washington Park Grill. I delivered fitness equipment for a company called All About Fitness,
Yeah.
and we, set it up in people's homes, home gyms and stuff like that. But I didn't necessarily have a planned out path forward. Well, the great thing is I had always been interested in money, financing, investments, and stuff like that. So we were visiting in Colorado. One of my mom's, like our family friends, so the friends that we had back in the 80s, they'd come over and watch Broncos games with us, right? Well, now we're meeting up with them. I'm an adult at this point, and I'm telling the dad of the other family that, I'm really looking to like do something in investments or something like that. Well, he happened to know a guy working at Invesco, and he gave me, so I, put my resume together. He sent it over to this guy, and they hired me in the retirements department at Invesco, and that's what got me into the industry of just, investment accounting, mutual fund. I eventually became a mutual fund accountant through that, but it really just took that one person to create a recommendation for me. And it's kind of interesting. It became a full circle for me. I worked for Invesco, then I worked for Great West Life in the investments department. And then I got hired by this company at the time called SunGard, but it was something before that, like MSI or something like that. Anyway, they're a software company that they sold investment accounting software to insurance companies. And come to find out, so I went to Invesco, I went to Great West Life, and eventually I was with Invesco for like 3 years, Great West Life for like 6 months, and ended up at this company and had no idea that that person who had recommended me for the job at Invesco also worked for that same software. I mean, there's only like 60 people supporting that particular software. And I'm being introduced to the folks there, and there's this big picture in one of the guys' offices, the main developer's office. And I'm like, oh, that's Andy Carter. I know that guy, right? And that's the guy who recommended me to go over to Invesco. And here he had worked at that exact same company, the exact same software. What are the chances?
Yeah, small world, small world. So, what spurred you to strike out on your own? Was it a thunderstruck moment, or was it a slow burn where you decided, what, working for someone else isn't for me. I want to make a change and be my own leader.
It's so interesting to me how things end up working out. I had always wanted really to do things on my own. I was not necessarily like super into software or anything like that. I definitely wasn't into being an employee, although I always wanted to be a really good employee, right? And every time I took a job, whether it was working for Chi-Chi's in Ohio, I wanted to learn every aspect of the business. When I got to the software side, I wanted to be support, I wanted to be training, sales, all of that stuff. And I gained great experiences through that. But it's so funny to me because the person that I wanted to be when I was about 12 years old, I was into, my favorite color is green, so I must like money. I like numbers, I like finances, I like investments. I want to be in charge someday. I want to be a CEO. And it's wild to me that, when you go through your teenage years and your 20s, you start getting into all of these other interests. But it ended up coming back around to me. The same things that I wanted to be at 12 years old is basically what I'm doing today. So I did all the investment stuff. I did the finance stuff. I've been a great employee, except for the Denver Post. But other than that, it came back, and here I am, purchased into this franchise, and I'm the CEO of the franchise of Cabinet IQ in Aurora. And I'm really pleased about that. I'm excited to make an impact in the community.
What inspired you specifically to choose the remodeling industry?
Well, there was a company that came to me. So I had always wanted to do my own business. My dad ran his own business as I was growing up. He was a drywall scrapper. So he would go to new build homes, and after the drywall guys came in and they did their work and cutting the drywall and all that stuff, they would just throw it in the middle of the floor. So sometimes my dad would let me come down and help him out. And all we did was take all that drywall, throw it into the back of the truck, sweep afterwards and clean up and go to the dump. And it was the best time ever. And I loved it. And I know that he enjoyed, having his sons every once in a while come out and help him out. I know that he liked doing that work. Well, so it always made me want to be a business owner. So that was always in the back of my mind. So for 20, 30 years of being an employee and just scrimping and saving as much as I could, I was certainly open to the idea of doing a franchise. And, I turned 50 this year, and my thought was, well, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it, right? So a company reached out to me called The Perfect Franchise, TPF, right? And they had three different, they were coming to me with three different franchise opportunities that they had sort of curated based on my background. One was like painting, one was like window washing. I liked the idea of cabinetry and kitchen and bathroom remodeling because it was very, like the sales process is very similar to what I was doing with software, because software is sort of conceptual, right? It's hard to, like, you can't touch and feel the product. Well, obviously, this is more hardware, cabinetry, and that sort of thing. You can touch and feel the product, but you can't until it's all finished and installed, right? So as you're going through the process and you're saying, hey, give me tens of thousands of dollars so I can make your kitchen remodel dreams come true. You never actually get to touch and feel and see it in the space that you want to see it. So you're sort of putting it on faith that it's going to turn out the way you expect. And that's sort of a similar sales process as what I was used to before. Also, beautifying, the Aurora area, helping people, increase their living standards and just make life more enjoyable for the next decade or two of their lives. Just being at home, making that good investment in their own property instead of having it sit and, earn 3%, 5% per year in some account in some business that you don't really care about or whatever. You can put it in your home and just enjoy it right now.
Enjoy your home. Be on vacation every day in your own home.
That's right.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny. And what a lot of people do is, okay, we're getting ready to move. What we should do is update the kitchen, and then you don't get to enjoy it.
Right.
But if you realize that this is just a transfer of investments from the stock market to your own kitchen, you actually get to enjoy that, and you essentially get a increase in ROI.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so, tell me some of the principles that you're guided by in your business today. Not only that is, kind of keeping you focused on delivering a great experience for your clients, but that you hope would continue after you're gone from the business, and what you hope you're going to lay down for the future as well as using now.
I loved this. So when I was exploring the different franchise opportunities, I really got to dive deep and understand what each one did. I really liked their core principles. I've got them here. I'll read them off to you, but I agreed with every single one of them, and I can go into greater detail. But number
please
one,
do, Greg. Yeah.
What's that?
Please do. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
Sure. Well, I'll list them off real quick. But one is just create a positive impact. 2 is be a lifetime student. 3 is that details matter. 4 is do what's right, not what's easy. And 5 is take accountability for actions and inactions. And I agreed with every one of these. And they also spoke to me and my background. So like, for instance, with the create a positive impact, when you're doing software and you're selling to people who are all over the United States, you get to meet a lot of wonderful people. All over the U.S., I had colleagues that were in India and South Africa, so Europe, and I got exposure to a lot of different folks, but I didn't really get to create any sort of impact in my local community. So as a business owner, I've joined the Chamber of Commerce. I joined this group called LaTip International. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm meeting really great people right in Denver, and so that's really exciting for me. And then, one of the things that, like creating a positive impact that I'm doing is I'll be sponsoring a 5K run coming up in September for, it's Back the Blue, it's the K9 unit. Yep. And so the kids get to come up and I'm sure he'll be off duty.
Run with the dogs. Yeah.
Yep. They get to come and pet Otis. And so I'm excited about that, because even though I'm just, a small sponsor of an event, just to be, engaged with the local community and meet some people, I'm really excited about that. So, creating a positive impact. My fiance and I are also exploring the idea of potentially fostering kids, immigrant kids who were brought across the border without any family. And it's just like a short-term foster kind of thing. But those are the kind of things that I'm looking to try and create a positive impact. Be a lifetime student. I've been doing a lot of Duolingo over the past 5 years. 15 minutes a day doesn't really get you very far, but I'd say that I'm somewhere between the age of 2 and 3. If I,
you can order food. Yeah, you can get your needs met, hopefully. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I should be able to get by. Okay, but and then also being a lifetime student. just learning anything new and expanding your boundaries. But one of my favorite hobbies is playing guitar. So I've learned over 150 songs. I've got this little app, and it'll scroll as I play to show me all the words, because it's really impossible to memorize the lyrics to 150 songs and just be able to play it.
Yeah.
Also also the chords and all that. So details matter. I tend to get I become very detail oriented. I get lost in the details, so it's hard to find a good balance there. But details absolutely do matter. And that's one of the things that I try to make sure that I'm doing.
Well, and that does matter in the industry you're in, for sure.
Yes, absolutely, especially when everything is measured out to a 16th of an inch.
That's right.
So yes, it matters. And then, I loved this one. It really spoke to me, to do what's right, not what's easy. And I like the dichotomy of that. They say what's right, and then they put it against easy, because normally the right thing to do is the harder thing to do.
That's how you know you're doing the right thing most times, right? You just follow that instinct. Yeah.
Well, and when I joined the sales team at that software company, I was nervous about it. I told myself, I'm not a sales guy, right? Like, that's not in my nature. But the problem is, there's a lot of bias based on your own experiences. And when I thought of sales guy, everybody talks about the used car guy. Remember going into Radio Shack, and you're just walking in, you know exactly what you're going for, you just want to get it and walk out, but you couldn't take 2 steps in without somebody being like, how can I help you? And you just know that they're working on a commission, right?
Yeah.
So that was my exposure to sales. And then, but I had a great leader, this great guy, Henry, and the first thing he said to me is, Greg, the only tool that you have in your toolkit as a salesperson is your integrity. So if you don't have integrity, they'll never come back to buy from you again, right? So that's something as a business owner and just as a salesperson that was really important to me. And it also made it a lot easier for me to get engaged in the sales process and like, okay, I don't have to say yes to everything that the customer is asking. So it's important for us to be honest, and we are limited in what we can do, and it's okay to say no, right? So that sort of thing. And then you're not trying to sell them something that they don't want. You're trying to understand what their needs are so that you can give the best fit. And that's what I want to do here with, just a home kitchen. I don't want to sell you into the, highest grade quartz for your countertop. I want to sell you based on your needs. Like, you don't want to have maintenance responsibilities. You just want like specific colors and all those things. So I'm listening to make sure that I'm matching you up with the things that you love, and then finally taking accountability for actions and inactions. Boy, that is really hard, isn't it? Especially like inaction, really.
When you're not doing the work too, like this is a thing. We make the promises in our installers, and the people that do the work are the ones delivering on those promises. So it's up to us to bridge that gap constantly. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Communication is so key there. Setting the right expectations. That's something I learned in sales, actually just in support on the software side right away. Is just, set the right expectation. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. Definitely don't do that, right? If anything, underpromise and overdeliver.
That's right. Yeah, in reverse. In reverse.
Yeah.
So
just taking accountability, even though it's really difficult to do, and you want to say, well, it happened because of this thing, whatever is outside of my control, and it's tough to just own up to it when you're like, I should have called you, yesterday and straightened that out. Or one of the things that I have keyed into recently is whenever I say the word weird, like, oh, that's weird, they'll like stop, pay attention to it, and see if there's something there that I need to fix, right? So always learning something new.
So what social issues then do you hope your legacy will help address in the future?
It's a good question, and I kind of don't really know right now, right? But there are certain things that are important to me, and certain things that I would love to leave behind to help out the community. One of the things that is important to me is, and it's difficult to give money and time to philanthropical companies, and wherever you can give time, it would be amazing, but it's hard to find the time. And then I've spent a lot of time during my employee years just trying to get out of debt. I was saving on the side, but I was also just trying to get out of debt. So it makes it difficult to give money too. But where I find, where I'm most passionate about is helping out kids nutritionally, and then just giving them sort of guidance towards the future, even if they don't have a parent in their life or something like that. That's where I want to find time and money to do that kind of thing, to help those kids out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we wish you well in that, and try and support you any way we can here on the channel. And in this specific question, I'm hoping that the people that watch this will get some value out that know you. And it is, what are the things you want the people in your life to know about you that maybe you haven't expressed, or that if you weren't able to tell them anymore, that you want to make sure, they heard it at least one time here?
Sure. Yeah. Well, number one is that I love them, right? So if I were to get in an accident today and I wasn't able to communicate that, I would regret not being able to do that, because when you're taken out, like, that's a terrible way to put it, but when your life is taken away and you don't have that last chance to sort of communicate to your family, I would hope that they would all know that, but at the same time, I would love to reassure them and let them know, that my love is there, and that any sort of problems that we might have had are not bigger than the connection that we have in our blood relation, our just family relation. So, if it came to it and I had a last breath of air that I could yell out so that they all could hear it, it would be "I love you."
It just gave me chills.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That's lovely. So, David, do you have any other questions for Greg? I think
just the $1 million one.
Yes. So, I often find that these legacy questions, they lead to bigger things, and the bigger conversations about protecting what you've built. And so, hopefully, you'll see the value of us getting together to talk about, planning for that future if you haven't done so already, and just having a discovery conversation about that later down the road.
Great.
Like you, I want to understand your big picture. I'm not trying to sell you insurance just to sell you insurance or sell you a trust. We've got all kinds of different things that we can talk about. But I just am hoping you'd be open to a conversation about that down the road.
100%. Yes.
Good.
And it's something that's been top of mind for me. And one of the hindrances for moving forward on that is all the life changes. And so you think to yourself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that you've run into has said something like this, is, okay, now I've put down on paper what I want to happen if, something happens to me, I get hit by a bus, whatever. And then life changes and you're like, oh, well, now I've got to go back and rewrite the whole thing. So that's probably one of the biggest hindrances for me, as to do something like that and get it formalized, was just the constant life changes.
Yeah, and that's how, we remind people how important the relationships are with people like us, the people that you can have ongoing conversations that know you, so you're not having to start over again every time that you want to make changes. And so, again, this is part of what this podcast is for. It's for us to not only learn your story, but for those that are watching to kind of be reminded about their own legacy and their own stories that they're telling. And, the $1 million question I was alluding to earlier, Cheri, was, Greg, what is your wish for your legacy? What would you want to be remembered for if you could sum it up for not only our audience, but for the people that are, going to be around when you're gone and tell, hey, Greg wanted to be known for this.
Boy, that's tough. I think everybody that knows me would say that I'm a nice, kind person, always happy, funny, jovial, and sincere. So I would hope that everybody thinks that now. I would hope that they still thought that later on. But the legacy to leave behind, boy, I want to say to be continued, because I feel like I'm still writing my story, and I hope there will be something bigger in the future for me to leave behind. But absolutely, I would love to be known as a warm, sincere person who wanted the best for everyone in my life, and to help lift them up so that they could have better lives too.
Yeah, and great. And again, that's the purpose of this channel is for you to think on those things and to start documenting that, start living that, start putting into action the things that you want to be remembered for. And it could be through the philanthropy and the foster care work that you and your fiance want to do. I mean, that seems to be a great place to start if you're looking for advice.
And simply writing it down. Yes.
Yeah. And to continue, writing down what it is that you hope the future of that looks like, so that you can, kind of reverse engineer the steps needed to bring that into life. So, again, thanks for sharing with Cheri and I today. I'll let Cheri wrap up, but it was really wonderful to listen to your story and get to know you, Greg. Thanks.
Thank you both.
Thank you to our listeners and audience for spending time with us today on Legacy Curious. I hope this conversation gave you some insight, encouragement, or just that little spark you needed to keep you moving forward in your own legacy journey. If you got value from today's episode, please take a second to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone else who's building something that matters. And if you're ready to take that next step, protecting your business, planning for retirement, or passing on your legacy with purpose, head to legacyprotectors.life to schedule a conversation. Until next time, I'm your host, David Gravelle, reminding you to stay curious, stay committed, and keep building something worth passing on.